bunny. Oh, I've seen that.
There you go, eh?
Yeah.
A fluffy chick on a cute bunny with eggs around them. Every Easter cliche in a single picture. It's awesome.
Breakfast and dinner in one
Yeah.
place.
Oh, don't. Oh, rubbish.
But that is
Rubbish
how
shit.
some people see Easter. If you asked a group of people to draw something that represented Easter for them, I'm pretty sure the majority would draw one of these. I very much doubt if many would draw a man being crucified or a grave. People want their holidays to be fun and fluffy, with the old Peter Pan saying of, think happy thoughts. Most people don't want holidays to challenge them, make them think, make them look at their lives more closely, examine their priorities. I don't blame them. I love a good holiday. I mean, after all, there's enough sorrow, uncertainty and sadness in the world these days, without having to add to it. But Easter is not about guilt, or sorrow, or many other emotions people attribute to Jesus being crucified. It is about joy. It's about celebration, overcoming sorrow and grief, reaching out to and grabbing hold of life. The symbols that we generally use these days for Easter, such as the egg, it's a symbol of new life, surely. The chick, a symbol of new life. The bunny, a symbol of lots of new lives. But to me, Easter is just that, a celebration of new life. The life Jesus promised us, life in all its fullness. Although many people seem to think that all you have to do is say, I believe in Jesus, a bit like, harking back to Peter Pan, I believe in fairies. And as if by magic, you have new life. You are transformed into a holy person, a spiritual person, an all-round good egg. Yeah, I know, I'm sort of laying on the eggs a bit thicker. If only it was that easy. Even the disciples struggled with that concept. Why else would Jesus feel the need to reappear to them in that locked room? If they truly believed in him and his resurrection, why would he have to appear twice? We all look at Thomas and we call him Doubting Thomas. But I'm pretty sure all of the disciples doubted. They locked themselves away in fear of the Jews. And they took a moment to recognise him when he stood amongst them. So I really feel they doubted. After all, we heard previously that Mary told them she had seen him, that he was risen. Yet still they seemed unsure. They all wanted to see with their own eyes. As I'm sure we all probably would. So I don't think Thomas was alone in his doubts. After all, everyone has doubts. Everyone questions their faith at some point. I mean, I know I have. Several times. But while we're on the subject of Thomas and Jesus appearing to the disciples, I have some questions about it. That first appearance. In the reading, we are told that seeing the Master with their own eyes, they were exuberant. Now, I don't know about you, but if I had witnessed someone dying, being stuck in a tomb, then I was hiding away in fear in a locked room, so in a heightened emotional state, and that person suddenly appeared in front of me, exuberant is probably not the word I would use to describe my reaction. I think my initial reaction would be, what? I wonder though, with the benefit of hindsight and poetic license, the writer was being kind to the disciples. After all, if it read Jesus entered, stood among them, said peace to you, and they screamed like little girls, it wouldn't have the same impact. Then he appears a second time, apparently just for Thomas, because he missed the first appearance. And we hear in the reading that Jesus singled him out. And Thomas had previously said he wouldn't believe it unless he could stick his fingers in the holes in his hands, stick his hand in his side. It's a little excessive, but frankly, pretty disgusting, I think. But Jesus appears again. Now, at this point, if I was there, I might be saying, "Whoa, Jesus, stop doing that, man. Give me a heart attack. Keep popping in and out." But Thomas bombs. He really does. After saying how he was going to stick his fingers in the holes, he's going to stick his hand in his side to prove that it was Jesus, he bombs it. And just acknowledges it and says, "Oh, my master, my God." To my mind, that's the first sensible thing Father Thomas did, because, I mean, no one really wants to go sticking their fingers and hands in people's wounds, do they? No, I don't think so. But the reading then ends with Jesus saying, "So you believe because you have seen with your own eyes. Even better blessings are in store for those who believe without seeing." To my mind, he acknowledges their doubts. He directly points out that they fell into the seeing is believing camp. Even after all they had been through, all of their travels with him, all of the incredible things they'd seen him do. But Jesus didn't stop there, of course. He also said, if you don't forgive sins, what are you going to do with them? This is a great question. One which many outspoken evangelists would probably do well to ask themselves now. What do you do with sins? It's not like tuck them in a drawer and save them for later or something. Polish them, put them on display. Perhaps you punish them. Maybe, certainly, it does. But I don't believe that works. Not in the long run, anyway. But if you identify them and forgive them, then to me that has a much bigger impact. And to my mind, a much longer lasting effect. And of course, we should always bear in mind a simple question: who are we to judge? What makes us so special that we can judge others and call them sinners? The answer is, of course, nothing. But I guess you know. Because Jesus made it clear that God is the only one who can judge. Not us. That we should forgive, support, guide, not judge and punish. Jesus spoke often of forgiveness. And I believe he challenged us to show that forgiveness to others in our everyday lives. So Easter is the perfect time to be looking at new things. If you've seen the newsletter, you know that was one of the subtitles. It's full of symbols of newness, as we've already seen with the chick and the egg. But perhaps this year, it's time to start looking at things in a new way. Or at least relearning the lessons Christ taught us. Lessons about how to engage with others. About respect, about love, honesty, integrity. Ideals that if you ask anybody, they will agree are a great idea and are necessary for a happy, well-integrated society, but then seem so poor to actually live up to. Maybe that is the true lesson of this reading. That there will be times of doubt, but in among those doubts, there we can find Christ. In those moments of uncertainty, if we just look at it in the right way, there we will see God amongst us, bringing us peace. So as we continue through the Easter season, and as we heard earlier, it really is a season. I encourage us all, and yes, I include myself in that, to think about how we react to those moments of doubt, those times of questioning. Do we throw a wobbly? Do we scream and shout and curse? Or do we look to find that peace amongst the turmoil? Do we demand proof? Do we challenge God to show us evidence? A bit like Bruce Almighty in the film, where he goes, "Smite me, O mighty smiter," challenging God to do something to prove that God exists. Or do we ask humbly that God move among us? And when we meet others, do we judge? Do we condemn? Or do we embrace and accept all of God's creation? I truly believe that Jesus had a simple basis to all of his work. Love the person in front of you unconditionally. In that way, he was able to not only demonstrate God's love for them, but also make incredible things happen. I believe he was so closely connected to God that love flowed through him without hindrance, freely flowing to whoever needed it. Now, as Christians, Jesus is our chosen path to get closer to the divine, our chosen link to God, our model, our ideal, or the one we aspire to be more like. So I think the answer to all those questions is whichever allows God's love to answer. And that is what I feel all Christians should aspire to be like. To be that conduit of God's unfailing, unconditional, and somehow transformational love.